Hello, everyone, and welcome to Manic Monday. Oh, wait, it's not Manic Monday. That was yesterday, wasn't it?
Hey, everybody, welcome to Wait, it's not quite Taco Tuesday show yet either, is it, Craig?
Hey, for those of you who, didn't experience the great Facebook outage of 2021, you know that we weren't on the air yesterday.
We tried. We were there. We did everything, and when we hit the send simulcast button, it didn't work. So we got the show. You just didn't get to see it. So you know what? Here's a little bonus for you. Here's yesterday's show as it appeared live.
And by the way, tune in afterwards because then you're going to get today's show. You're going to get twice the rundown in one day.
Double rundown. Woo! Sounds like a new police TV show.
Actually, sounds a little bit more like a dietary issue.
A double rundown? I don't know. I think sounds like a Quinn Martin production, you know?
All right. Anyway, you guys enjoy.
Good afternoon, everybody out there in viewerland, and welcome to the Monday edition, the Manic Monday edition of the Rundown. I am your host from the I'm your host from the East Coast, Mike Pewarski, but I don't do the program by myself, and thank goodness I don't, because how many times would I screw this up?
Exactamundo, sir. My name is Craig DeLuz, and I will be your co-host from the left coast today, having a good time here on a Manic Monday.
Good times, good times. How was your weekend for you, Craig?
Oh, dude, it was phenomenal. It was one of the most relaxing weekends I've had in a while. Well, kind of relaxing. We celebrated my granddaughter's 3rd birthday, had a little get-together on Saturday night with about 20 close friends and family.
Oh yeah.
It was supposed to just be cake and ice cream, and it turned into beer, bourbon, cake, ice cream, and good times.
Well, hopefully you were checking IDs before handing out that bourbon to the 3-year-olds at the birthday party.
No, you had to be at least 3.5.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. That's California law. That works for you. So, Craig and you and I also got to do another event this weekend, although from separate parts of the country.
Yes, we did. Got a chance to participate in AmCon, which is a gathering of all of the people who are in the 2A media throughout the country. And folks, these are the people who are really on the ground, who really know what's going on. And, there's the folks that do kind of, the national stuff, the mainstream media who knows nothing about guns, gun laws, or anything like that. But then there are the people who are on the ground covering it. And that's who these folks are, the communicators. I had the pleasure, the honor, mind you, of kicking off AmCon at what was 6 a.m. my time where I was. So,
Yep.
Which, normally would not be a big deal for me because I'm usually up at about 5:30. But this was on a Saturday where I usually try to sleep until at least 6:30.
That's always a good policy, right? To try and sleep until at least 6:30 on a Sunday or a Saturday on a weekend. I was supposed to have the opposite end. I was supposed to be closing the AmCon on Sunday, but they had some scheduling changes, some airline schedule changes. So in order to accommodate them, I took the opener role on Saturday or Sunday as well, and had I had a little more notice than you did, though. I did have about 6 hours notice of that. So, it still worked out well.
It was funny because I got a call at 5:45 that was like, you're supposed to be
the
on
reminder
15
call
minutes, right?
Yep.
I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Thankfully, this cameras don't see the pajama bottoms, right?
Oh yeah. Well, and then I'm like, okay. So what? Okay, what exactly am I supposed to be speaking about again?
Yeah. Right.
But you know what? It was nice because I already had something prepared, and it was really anyway.
Yeah.
But it was fun. There's a lot of really good questions. Folks who are really interested in reaching out there and connecting with not just people in the gun community, but the community at large to help inform them about the Second Amendment, to help inform them about the fight for gun rights in this country. So once again, I wish I could have been there to participate in the gathering. I've been to them in the past, but it's always fun. It's always a fun event and always a bunch of quality folks.
Yeah, it was a busy weekend. Friday, Saturday was, some folks you saw us here on the rundown on Friday. I was at the Concealed Carry Expo in Fort Worth. I was there also Saturday, broadcasted Arms Room Radio from there, and then Sunday at AmCon, and then back here again to be with you again Monday. So it's when we say, I work all weekend. Well, yeah, pretty much we do. So
we do.
There's a lot of extra time to be put in.
The great thing about doing what we do, or at least is when you enjoy what you're doing, it seems a lot less like work.
It does. There's always that dream, right, where you get if you get paid to do what you love, it doesn't seem like you have to work at all. So
yeah,
working towards that.
You do.
Yeah, right. Working towards that. So sponsors, come on, let's make it happen. Let's make it happen.
Exactly. Let's make it happen. And that's why we very much appreciate Guerrilla Machining and Grid Defense, as well as the folks over at the California Republican Assembly. You guys are the ones who make it possible for us to be able to do this. So thank you. We very much appreciate it. And folks, here's the deal. If you have not gone to visit them, you need to go visit them. Your support of them helps encourage them to support us. So check them out. All of their links are right there in the description to the video.
Yep. Very good.
Let's get on to the news, shall we?
We shall. Now, Craig, you know what today is? Today is the first Monday in October. Right. Actually, a little trivia there. Did you know that if the first Monday in October falls on the 1st of October, then they defer until the 8th of October? So it does happen.
I never knew that. That is actually a very, very interesting piece of trivia. Thank you so much for sharing.
6 out of 7 times you'd be correct to say the first Monday in October. But on Mondays, it would be the second Monday in October if it fell on the first. So I don't know why that is. I guess they just they wanted that one more day of September recovery. I guess what's going on. Listen, there's a couple big important cases coming around with the Supreme Court, but the biggest one that we're all looking forward to is the one we're gonna talk about. It's the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association case versus Bruin. Now, if you're not familiar with this case, this is the one where we are worried about ownership. Now, to give you a little history, we had Heller come out of New York. We had Heller come out of D.C. What was that? 12 years ago now, Craig. 12 years ago now, Heller came out of D.C. And then McDonald's.
No, well, actually, no, because it was 2008, so that would be 13 years ago.
Okay, right, and then we had McDonald after that, so. That would have been 11 years ago because I know they were 2 years apart.
Yes.
What those did was give you the right to own a firearm, and then the other was to own the firearm in the home. And more recently, we had out of DC, the court. Oh boy, what's the name of the most recent one? The one where they went to a shall state rather than a may state, a shall issue.
Yes, that was yes. You're right, but that was the one out of Washington D.C. And they decided not to challenge it, so it never went to the Supreme Court.
Correct.
But it is there. It is basically in Washington, D.C., they are now shall issue.
Right, which makes it a pertinent case to what we're looking at in New York, because what New York is facing now under the Bruin case is may issue versus shall issue, right? Because we're talking about New York, and it's the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association. This is a New York City case. Is what it's about. It's the right
New York City.
Yeah, New York City. It's to have the firearm outside the home. There's a couple different issues here. The main one being may versus shall. Correct. So you have a city that's created a separate set of laws than the state, and you have several different municipalities and counties that have different municipalities, and the boroughs that have different set of laws per municipality, and you have the right to carry outside the home. So it's the right to own and then the right to carry, and this could go, Craig, many ways. I mean, the court could go strictly, a narrow view on this and say and answer the singular question: should it be may versus shall? But everything that involves with this, because New York City borders, guess what? It borders states. It doesn't just border the state. So when they're talking about the carrying of the weapon outside of the home, does that carry of the weapon outside of the home include over the first jurisdictional boundary? Because that was the issue here with New York City, is you could not take a firearm from the city to the adjoining county where you owned another home. You were not allowed to take your firearm from one residence to another if you owned or rented more than one property. Or if you happen to be, I don't know, legally in the city of New York while transporting a firearm. I could have it outside the city of New York while in a separate county, or while traveling to a neighboring state, because again, the city borders other states. So, Greg, the big question becomes, how far does the Supreme Court go with this? Because this could end in, I mean, listen, if you want to go extreme far end, open carry, open carry legal. No, there is national reciprocity. Everything is shall issue, and everybody can have constitutional carry. It could go that far, or it could be very strict review on it, and they could just solve the case with the singular question.
Well, and that's the concern that a lot of people have, is that they're going to go very, very narrow. I think that everyone that I've talked to believes that there's going to be a decision in our favor, in the favor of gun owners. The question is, how far does that decision go? Keep in mind that the New York City law, this is not just about the ability or the right to carry a firearm. This is about the ability to transport a firearm. I mean, their laws are so strict that unless you are going to or from specifically identified ranges, you aren't even allowed to transport your firearm. So if they could go as narrow, if they decided they wanted to go specifically narrow and just blow up just that law, they could do that. And now, from what I understand, once again, my memory could be incorrect. They actually changed, or were going to change that city law just so that this case would be, to try and attempt to moot this case, right?
And they did with for the most part. Remember, because this we're talking about two separate cases now. But the Bruin case, in fact, let me get here. The Bruin case, the narrow focus of the Bruin case is shall versus may issue.
Okay,
is what that is. We had Wren versus DC.
That's right.
Which was one that gave us shall versus may in DC, and then we had the New York State Rifle Pistol Association versus. Hold on, let me give you who the site was for that. But you're exactly right. That was the one of. The New York State, the city of New York and New York State, remember, changed the law about the moving of the firearm. But where that's encompassed in the current one is the ownership and transportation of the ownership. So it's not like as it was before with the can I move the firearm from one location to another? It's even upon purchase. Where can I purchase and bring to? If I'm a shall issue in Long Island, in Suffolk County, how can I take it to be a may issue in New York City, where New York City says we don't recognize the laws of our own state?
Wow. It's going to be real interesting to see how this whole thing turns out. Like you said, I mean, now that having been said, there's going to be a bunch of different decisions that are going to be. I mean, they're taking up speech on campus. They're also going to be taking up abortion. I mean, this is going to be a very raucous term of the U.S. Supreme Court.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And looking forward to it. Again, I think that this is going to end up, I hope, outside just the strictest view of this. Now, the good news on if it is deemed to be only answering the singular question of may versus shall in New York City or in New York State is that we have many, many others in the pipeline right behind it for those other specific issues. So it would be nice for them to spread their wings and say, listen, we have the ability here because this does involve interstate commerce to make this decision right now. So we'll see. We'll see,
and by the way, folks, don't think that even if we get a decision or direction, don't think that that's going to mean constitutional carry across the entire United States. You very well could wind up with okay, well, you have to go through the background check and they could require classes. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff, and they could require you to get a permit. There's a bunch of stuff that even if we get a decision in our favor, we could wind up still having to deal with in terms of the regulation of carrying a firearm outside the home.
Yeah, it brings up lots of questions, right, Craig?
Right.
Because let's say if they say you can carry it outside the home and you can carry it into the neighboring jurisdiction, that's into say I'm going from the city of New York and I'm going into New Jersey, right?
Right.
Or if I'm going into Westchester County there and I'm going into Connecticut, if I'm going up up that way, does that if I take the bridge, because you have many of the ferries and everything that go direct to Connecticut. So you've got, again, bordering states issues here. What does that mean for California? If it says, listen, you can have interstate commerce of your firearm, they must have reciprocity for you. Does that mean just the neighboring state or does that mean the country? You know, and if I could carry a full magazine in down in Pennsylvania, where New York is a bordering state, does that mean I get to have a full magazine everywhere else I go, including my home state?
Or is there a limitation on the type of ammunition you can have? Because in some states they don't allow, in some jurisdictions, let me clarify, in some cities and counties they don't allow hollow points. So all of that stuff, all of those questions, and I think the biggest issue is there are so few people making decisions. A lot of these judges that really are experts in firearms that they don't realize that they're not you need to answer some of these questions, otherwise we're just going to be back in front of you.
Yes, and I think this court smart enough to realize that, or at a minimum, to line them up. Let's see. We got one case for this, we got one case for that. And we'll see how it goes, and we'll know that from this one. We'll know how they decide. If they decide narrow, then we know that there's going to be several other narrow cases right behind it that they'll approve.
Exactly.
We'll see that go on. Craig, let's move right along here if we can. Let's start talking about reimagining the American flag. Now, this story is about a week or two old, Greg, and we kind of went past it. We had some other topical stuff going on, but there's organizations out there now that are trying to redesign the appearance of the American flag, and this literally looks like, and a couple of the different pictures that they put up. This literally looks like if you gave an outline of a flag, or you went to some kindergarten kids and said, "Listen, here's some stripes, and here's some stars." And here's some red and blue pens. Just go crazy.
Oh, okay. So, folks, there was a video that came along with this post, and there's no audio, but I'm gonna play it for you. I'm just gonna warn you right now. If you have epilepsy or the tendency towards epilepsy, you probably don't want to watch this video, okay? Because it's kind of spooky. But these are all the various different potential designs that they're talking about for the redesigning of Old Glory. So here we go. We're gonna run it in 3, 2, 1. Wow.
This is, again, Craig. This looks like. Somebody went crazy in the kindergarten class, and I don't understand the definition of the redesign or the purpose of the redesign. We still kept stars and bars, right? We still kept blue, fields of stars. We still kept 13 stripes, but somehow if we change it to a new design, it will release us from our original founding fathers' white oppression days.
Well, but because ultimately what it comes down to is that their whole idea is to undermine and get rid of. Because here's the thing: once we've gotten rid of that flag, even if it's we go with something very, very similar, in their eyes, well, we were successful in getting rid of that flag. Well, this new flag has only been around for a year or two. We ought to be able to just totally get away from that one and put in our woke flag. And that's what their goal is. Their goal is not necessarily to come up with anything new and inspiring. Their goal is to tear down our traditions, to tear down our institutions. And so obviously the idea is, first of all, to just get us away from the idea of that particular flag.
Yeah, the quote that I liked here most in the story says, the Democrat Party has been pushing for a fundamental transformation of this country for many years, and we've seen evidence in that. We're seeing evidence of that in attempts to change our flag. We're seeing evidence of that in trying to create a new national anthem that they're playing before certain sporting events. But if Democrats are telling us they want to fundamentally change the U.S., we should believe them and we should fight against them. So
Right.
Craig,
And by
I
the
think
way,
that's different than you and I, because normally we would just look at this stuff and go, you know what, to heck with these idiots. Well, you know what? I think it is time to start taking up that stance of no, it's time to stand up against them.
well, and what's funny about that is, and in another story that we didn't include today, probably should have. But here's how you know it's not about racism, because when the idea of putting up a statue of Clarence Thomas, right, only the second African American or black man to serve on the U.S. Supreme Court. When it came time to put up a statue of him, you know what the liberals and the Democrats said? They would have rather kept the Confederate monuments than put up a monument to Clarence Thomas. So we know it's not about race. We know it's not about diversity. We know it's not about racism. We know that it's all about politics. And that's the biggest sign, whether it's the flag, all right, whether it's a redesigning of the flag or it's the monuments. It's all about the politics. It's not about celebrating our nation's history, our nation's past, or it's in their case, it's really not even about diversity or inclusion, as they want to say.
Yeah, it's 100%, Craig. It's like they showed their hand when they didn't intend to. Now we know the backstory. It's kind of like how we've always been with the anti-gun crowd. They always said, no, we don't want to ban guns. We just want to get rid of certain types. Well, over the past 4 or 5 years, they've let it be known. No, we've wanted to get rid of all guns all the time. Right. Yeah, we want to ban guns. That's what we want to do.
You try and tell people who keep saying that, it's like, look, I trust them at what they say. They say they want to ban guns. They've made it clear they want to ban guns.
Yeah, and now, like you said, we had that go on down there in Atlanta. Again, another Confederate statue coming down. So the state of Georgia down there, the House of Representatives said, "All right, let's put up a Clarence Thomas statue." And just like you said, they said, "Oh no," and just clearly flipped their hand and went, "Oh no, look, it's not about race. I'm sorry, it really is about politics." So, one of the top black people in history in over the past 50 years. In our nation, and they said no, we're not going to do it. So can't do it. Well, let's see, what do we got here? We got next mask mandates. Craig, where was this story? This story was in Wisconsin, I believe, if I recall correctly. Let's take a look at the notes over here.
You do recall correctly.
All right, we're all right. The point to try and make here, and folks, what happened was a Wisconsin man went into a pizza place. And I think it was a takeout pizza place. It wasn't like a dine-in. And then the manager said you have to wear the mask. And the Wisconsin man said, "I'm not wearing the mask." And a tussle ensued. And then the man who refused to wear the mask punched the manager in the face. And then after he got outside, I guess he threw a brick or something through the window and broke the window, as if I guess the punch in the face wasn't enough. He wanted to, hey, take that with you too. Throw the brick back in at him. So the point of bringing this one up is, listen, we're about to see legal fights happen over masks. If you don't think we're going to, then you're fooling yourself. The Supreme Court is going to have to take up something. And now that they're back in session, someone, I think it's going to be the airline industry in the state of Florida, someone is going to bring an emergency injunctive a petition to the Supreme Court, and they're going to have to act on this. We've got the CDC here saying over the last weekend that the Delta variant has burnt itself out down in the South. So now it's Alaska's problem, according to the CDC. Well, the Delta variant's gone. Craig, remember the whole reason for putting that mask back on was we got to control the Delta variant. Well, let's see how long it takes to rescind. The airlines are talking about putting masks, mandating masks, having a vaccination card in addition to the masks. In the state of Florida, it's illegal to require anybody to have to show proof of vaccination. Ask the cruise industry what's going on, why they haven't started back up yet. They think they're going to wait it out. They're not going to wait this governor out. So lots of nonsense going on. And the additional point, I'm sorry, Craig, I promise I'll hand it off to you, is, folks, if you've got a dispute over a mask, or if you've got a dispute over a vaccination card, ending up in the county lockup because you punched the manager in the face is not the proper way to go about it.
No. I will always say this. If you're trying to make a political statement, if you're trying to make a policy change, violence is not going to be the solution, because in the end, you're going to wind up in court. It'll wind up in court, but it's going to wind up in court with you having to be responsible for the violence that you've chosen to engage in. Now, we don't know the details of this whole thing. We don't know how rude or unrude this person, the manager or whatnot, particularly was. We also don't know this guy. It could have had nothing to do, not so much to do with him having to wear a mask, and maybe this guy was just a jerk. We don't know. Right. And a lot of that will play itself out. The interesting thing here legally is there's really kind of two questions, because one is going to be, does an individual business have a right to make requirements for you to do business with them? And I think you're going to see that is going to be handled very differently than does a government have the ability to mandate that you do something. For example, in this case, we're talking about masks or requiring a vaccines. Both are treated very, very differently, because the Constitution puts a number of limits and restrictions on the government, but doesn't necessarily put those same restrictions on private citizens or on private businesses. Which, by the way, is why I believe the government is actually pushing businesses to enforce these laws. Because, see, they're putting the mandates on the businesses, and the businesses are the ones then being required to institute or to enforce these laws. So the question is, does a business have the right to tell you to require you to wear a mask in order to do business with you? That's one question. The other is, does the government have the right to mandate that you wear a mask, or do they have the right to mandate that a business mandate you to wear a mask? All those are questions that are eventually going to have to be answered in court. Because what we're seeing now is, and this is what's odd, the government is not bearing the brunt of the consequences of these decisions. As we're seeing now, it's the frontline business workers. It's the restaurant managers. It's the hostesses. They're the ones that are being asked to do something that was never in their job description in the first place. And they're the ones that are folks, let's not get mad at them. They're doing what the government has told them to do.
Yeah, listen, Craig, a couple points I want to finish up with this one on is I don't have a problem with being mad at them, but it's not worth punching them in the face and throwing a brick through the window to go to jail over, okay? Mm-hmm. If they are the stooge of the government, I'm going to make sure they feel my wrath. And that wrath of that private business is, you're not getting my money, okay? And I'm going to stand out front with another constitutional right and protest your business. And I'm going to let everybody I know about your business. And we're going to hurt you through our pockets, because that's how we could really hurt that small business or that medium business or even that large business.
Well, I hear you on that, Mike. The problem is that the other option is they don't enforce it and then they get shut down.
Well, and then that's where that person needs to stand up also and say, I'm not going to be the government's stooge. Craig, a lot of people don't remember this. You know how they got the Jews on the trains in World War II,
dude,
or prior to World War II?
I hear you, and I guess what you're saying is they should just be willing to go out of business.
Well, and it's not willing to go out of business. Here's what happened. Remember what happened in pre-Nazi Germany, pre-World War II. Mm-hmm. They said they had to move them other places, right? They were not good. They had to get rid of them. But they you know how they got rid of them? They put the word out to the regular populace that they were ill and that they were sick and they had to be isolated. Otherwise, everybody else would be infected. Does that sound familiar to you? Because that point, everybody
think that's
keeps
an exaggeration, but I see the link. I think an exaggeration of what's going on now, but okay. I do see the link.
All right, because it did happen then. That's not an exaggeration, but I can. Yes. Your interpretation of it now, I will accept.
Okay.
But if you're going to make the individuals the stooge of the government, then I say they need to stand up and fight and turn around.
My belief on it would be this: if I were a frontline worker, had a restaurant, I would say to somebody, if they said, well, I'm not going to wear a mask, and I say, well, I've done my job in terms of enforcing it. I am not a law enforcement officer, therefore it is not it's not within my ability to arrest you or cite you. I just need you to know that you are not in violation of the law, or you are not in in compliance with the law. So, now you know how many are in your party.
I would change the name of my business.
That's what I would do.
Yeah. I would change the name of my business to Get Bent Restaurant, and that would be it. You want to come in here? Go right ahead. All I need to know is how many people. That's it. I'm not here to enforce the government's mandates. If the government wants to come in and talk to you, that's fine. If the government wants to come in and talk to me about, well, we're going to take away your license, we're going to take away this, we're going to the Supreme Court. Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. Somebody has got to stand up to these people. And I think, Greg, going back to where we started with the Supreme Court, like let's say it's an airport issue and the airports say, and excuse me, the airlines say we're going to go with a mandatory vaccination. Well, the issue where I think that's an easy one for the Supreme Court is because TSA enforces those rules. TSA, when you get to the airport's the one now that says put your mask on. Obviously, the airlines do too. But once you enter that federal restricted access area, the TSA is enforcing those mandates. The difference now when you go to a business, and let's say you go to a business and they have more than 100 employees, and they say, we want you to have a vaccination. Yes, it is a private business, and the government has been turning that over to the business so they could say, oh, we didn't do it, the businesses did it. But guess what they've said? They've told those businesses, if you don't enforce it with over 100 people, we're going to fine you. So guess what? Now you have government control. You've turned those employees into stooges. The only place there's any freedom at this point is in the mom and pop shop where they have the opportunity to say, we're not doing it. But you know what? If they say, no, you can't enter unless you're wearing clown shoes, then you don't enter wearing clown shoes. That's their house, basically.
Right.
So you've got to realize that, and maybe not go in and punch somebody in the face. All right, not the way to solve this problem.
No, definitely not the way to solve the problem. And it's, once again, I go back to this, and I understand some business owners are like, look, if I get shut down, my business is gone. My restaurant is gone. My store is gone. I can't afford another shutdown. I think, though, at the same time, you got to try and find a way to comply without complying. Like I said, that's why I'm like, if that's going to be your attitude, then you got to say, look, you guys don't pay us enough money for me to be going and getting in arguments with people. I will say what the law says, and then if a person decides not to comply, someone else is going to have to deal with it because I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, and again, with just a slightly different view, I see the restaurant owner that points out the unvaccinated to me is the same as the shop owner that points out the Jew to the Nazis. So that's where we're heading. Persecution. All right. We know it ended up in genocide there, but we're currently in the persecution stage. Greg, we're coming up on the timeline here, so I want to roll through these last two. But you've got an oil spill out there in Southern California. I leave you alone for one weekend, Craig, and this happens out in California.
Well, eventually we're going to find a way to blame Trump and blame the Republicans for an oil spill in California.
The reason I think we're bringing this article up is you read this article today and it's facts and facts-based. And so far what happened. But it doesn't say anything about the federal policy, the federal reaction. It doesn't say anything about Newsom's policy or Newsom's reaction. I wonder how long this is going to take. And we can start the clock, as of 8 o'clock this morning, the beginning of the news cycle. How long does this take before Trump is blamed for it? And I'm literally laying that out there. Let's get a pool up here and we'll take bets and we'll see how long it takes.
Well, because it's funny because we have to say Trump because it's not even popular to just blame Republicans. You have to blame Trump, and when they blame Trump, then it becomes synonymous with Republicans. So they everything right now is they're holding on dearly by their fingernails to try and blame everything that is wrong with the world on Donald Trump. And the fact is that ever since Joe Biden has took over, the world has gone to hell in a handbasket.
Right.
I mean, we're talking one debacle after another, and a clear sign that people recognize that it's really Joe Biden's fault, is when the late night comedy hosts are set free to actually comment on just how bad a job Joe Biden is doing. That that it's true.
What's the old presidential tale? Is that when the new president takes office and gets to the Oval Office and opens the desk drawer, there's 3 envelopes in there, and it says, during your first emergency, open the first envelope, and it says, "Blame me. I was the last guy here. Blame me."
Right.
When the second emergency occurs, open the second envelope. What does it say? It says, "Take the blame."
Yep.
Take the blame. And then during the third one, it says, during the third emergency, open the envelope, and it says, "Resign and write 3 envelopes."
Pretty much. And right now, he still hasn't done step 2, which is blame me. He still hasn't accepted response. And I just think it's funny that everyone blames everything that goes on. Oh, well, it's the Republicans. Oh, well, it was Trump's fault. And it's like, no, you don't get to blame Trump for all of this. Yeah. This is happening on your watch. You guys run everything. You run everything except the Supreme Court. That's it.
The problem with Biden is he's eating the envelopes. He thought it was his tapioca. And he's just eating. He's eating here. Yum, 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 yum.
What time is it?
But here we are officially. What are we at? We're at 3:52 p or 3:32 p.m. Let's see what happens. How long it takes Trump for this to come out? So East Coast time, by the way. Craig, let's roll into this parting shot. I saw this one yesterday, and it gave me a good chuckle. I'll let you intro it.
Bam! There we go. So you guys all know this is pretty standard. It's like if you just I've got into conversations with people about this, and it's like, look, they want to call me a fascist, but I'm like, wait a minute. A fascist is someone who wants to use the power of the media, the power of government, and the power of corporations to control you. I'm saying, no, I want to be left alone, and I want to leave other people alone to make their own decisions. Well, according to the TV, according to the media, that makes you a domestic terrorist. And that's pretty much the thing. You're the fascist. You're the terrorist if you fight for liberty, you believe in liberty and individual choice and freedom, well, now you're a domestic terrorist. But, oh, by the way, and you're also a fascist domestic terrorist, by the way. That's the other little tidbit that I've learned.
Exactly right. It was very it was very reassuring to see this comic strip that other people out there view this exactly the same way that we do, Craig.
Yes, it's funny. I am a big believer in I'm like this. You can't be someone who's walked around for 30 years or ever since Roe v. Wade passed and say my body and my choice, and then also at the same time be for vaccine mandates. Yeah,
right, exactly. Well, it's my body, my choice when it benefits me, not when it benefits you.
Well, exactly. He couldn't have said it any better.
Yeah.
Anyway, folks, that's going to be it for today's episode. We very much appreciate y'all tuning in. Appreciate you liking and sharing. Check us. Remember, if you're not following us on The Rundown, go to therundown.us. Make sure that you're following us there on our YouTube channel. Also following us on following us on Facebook, on our Facebook page. We very much appreciate everybody who's broadcasting all the channels, Arms Room Radio, 2A News, California Republican Assembly. We appreciate all of you for broadcasting this program. By the way, if you're someone out there and you're interested and you have an audience and you'd like to see this program go out, let us know, and we will include you so that you can help to broadcast the program.
We'd love to. Like, share, subscribe. We want to be part of your family, too, and we want your family to be part of ours.
All right. You folks take care. We'll talk to you again tomorrow on Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday. Go baseball.